One of the major talking points that I've noticed on YouTube and just overall sports in general, when talking about just how the state of sports and the state of certain sports is the NBA. A lot of people are saying that the NBA is dead, the NBA is dying, the NBA is in big trouble. And I just want to kind of give my take on that. And I'm going to start by putting my cards on the table here. I do not like the current product that the WNBA has put out. I've not liked the product that the NBA has put out in quite honestly a long time. The over reliance on threes has really put me off. The athletes acting like their opinions on social issues really mean anything. Which I mean, like I said, it's their right. I'm not going to take away their right or try to take away their right to speak out when they feel they need to speak out. They are protected by the First Amendment of the Constitution, and I will defend that till the death. But at the same time, when you have people making these just insane salaries they're making, trying to tell those of us that are quite honestly going to work every day hoping we don't get fired, um, uh, it's a turn off, it's a put off, and then they speak down to all of us saying you need to worry about this. You need to not compromise your values. You're allowing your values to be compromised. We know the values you need to go after, and then China's mad and they immediately backtrack everything, and suddenly a lot of their values don't seem so important. And that kind of leaves a stain. And I know it's been a long time since that happened. That was pre-pandemic. Then the pandemic happened, and obviously that felt like a lifetime in and of itself, and feels like a lifetime ago. But at the same time, you always kind of get the sense that people don't really change, and that at the end of the day, they're hypocrites, and that there's always that fear, I guess, that they'll go back. They did a good job in this election cycle, I feel, of really tampering it down. In the wake of Donald Trump's win, who the NBA has never liked, they have done a good job of keeping that down as well. So I give them credit for that, but that's something that's going to take a little while to come back from. But there's a lot of factors in play, and I've been watching some videos from some great people. I should have bookmarked them and so I can give them their proper due. They've been talking a lot about it. Is the NBA dead or dying at this moment? No. The NBA is very much alive. It's still making very good money. Um, is it dying? Obviously, the ratings are way down. I mean, like drastically. Oh my goodness, down. We're not talking about something like 5 to 10% drops we've seen from them in the past that had people saying, I mean, we're talking like in the 30, 40, 50% drop. Now, obviously, it doesn't mean people aren't watching the games. Legal streaming's taken off, and I've not watched it. Like I said, the product really turns me off, so I've not watched or really tried to watch it. A lot of it, I catch a lot of the highlights, and every now and then I'll try to watch a game that I come across on TV and just can't really handle it. But apparently, there's a lot of blackout restrictions, and it makes it very difficult for the games to be consumed, especially if you're a fan of a smaller market team. I've seen a couple of videos, where they specifically mentioned the Minnesota Timberwolves and emerging star Anthony Edwards, who has a lot of people excited about the future. Had me excited for a while, and then I watched some of them in the playoffs, and I'm not quite sold yet. Um, but at the end of the day, they're still pulling in good ratings and making quite the profit for now. Now, if they continue year after year losing, such a large percentage of their fan base, then yeah, I mean, then you'll have to talk about, is the league dead? Is the league dying? Does anybody really care outside of the highlights and talking about it? Getting to go on their podcast and talk about it. Does anybody really, um, does the league itself really matter? And like I said, right now, yes. I mean, I think there's been a little bit of an overreaction. And again, putting my cards on the table, I don't like it. I don't like the current product, and I would love to see some drastic changes made to how the game's played. Bring back defense, and like I said, the over reliance on 3 pointers. I get it. And like I said, watching some videos, people, I can't remember the guy's name. He basically spelled it out. Since 2015 or really 2016, the second year of the Warriors dynasty when they famously blew the 3-1 lead in the finals. From that point forward, it seems like the teams that attempt the most 3 pointers are the teams that had the most success. Last year, Boston and Dallas were the number one and number two teams in 3-point attempts, and they made the finals. The finals was those two, and obviously Boston's been the juggernaut. They finally got their title last year, and they have far and away been leading the league in 3-point attempts per game. So that's one of the things. Taking more 3-pointers is the key to winning, and it's been spelled out in a lot of videos. Again, I wish I would have bookmarked them. You can find them pretty easy. The more threes you take, especially if you're somewhat efficient at them, the better you're going to do. At the end of the day, 3 points is better than 2. The whole 2 points is better than none. They're just getting so efficient at threes and, creating threes to get wide open or creating plays to where people can get wide open threes. They've just done such a good job with that. But the problem is it's just not fun to watch. I don't like the whole, dribble, then either shoot a three or drive straight to the basket and, try to get a foul. Or hope that everybody just gets out the way so you can dunk or make a layup. So, like I said, that's one of the problems. Obviously, load management's going to always put a lot of people off. Joel Embiid, he's making $50 million a year and refuses to play back-to-backs. Love to go to my employer and say, yeah, I don't really want to work 2 days in a row anymore. It's just I need the next day to recover from having to deal with everything from the previous day. First of all, they come to me and say, yeah, you're kind of on thin ice as it is, but, or at least that's my perception. Obviously in the corporate world, they always want you to feel like you're on thin ice. They never want you to feel comfortable, but, yeah, I get that. And obviously the whole player empowerment thing, which, on paper is a good thing. Players getting to basically play wherever they want with whoever they want. They can team up and all that, but at the same time, that's something that kind of, turns a lot of people off because it just seems like they're, nobody wants to have, their team, quote unquote. They might publicly make it seem like it's their team, LeBron, but, really you're surrounded by a bunch of all-stars. You're surrounded by future Hall of Famers, and like I said, you can compare that to, Michael Jordan's championships when he had Scottie Pippen, who made an all-star in 4 of his 6 championship years, made the all-star team. He's a Hall of Famer. You look at Kobe's second 2 championships, the 2 without Shaq, and even the 3 with Shaq. It was Shaq and Kobe and, people that are not in the Hall of Fame. So, that part of it's kind of, it's tough. It's tough to watch. It really is, to just be able to say, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. It's like, I have so much respect for Giannis Antetokounmpo's 2021 championship with the Bucks and, Nikola Jokic's 2023 championship with the Nuggets because, they had their own team, with, unheralded sporting cast, and they led them to a championship. They did it the right way. It's a team that drafted them. The teams are still on. They won MVPs and finally got their championship. There's just something about that you can't really replicate that. And look, I know it's been happening for a long time. There's the teaming up and all that. You go back to 1969 when Wilt Chamberlain joined the Los Angeles Lakers, who'd lost like 6 of the last 8 finals. They couldn't get past the Celtics, who Wilt also could not get past during his time in Philadelphia. On the Warriors and then the Sixers after the Warriors moved out to California, who's now Golden State. He joined them, and that was basically a join up saying, okay, none of us can beat Bill Russell and the Celtics, so we're going to team up and do it. And they didn't. They lost in Game 7. Russell retired, and then they finally won a championship a couple years later. But it's hard to watch. And like I said, the 3-pointers to me it's very off-putting. I want to see the mid-range game back. I don't like, watching as you know, I've watched the WNBA this year. I watched Caitlin Clark, and I know she's known for taking all of her long threes, taking a lot of threes, but even she, there's a good balance to her game. I think there's going to be even more of a balance going forward. She really seems to be working on that, in the lane floater, other stuff too. Like I said, she took a fadeaway in one game, and I'm like, she had to have been working on that. And if she works on that and gets a fadeaway, she might average 25 points a year, which in the WNBA is a big deal. But like I said, in the NBA, it's just not going anywhere because, they showed Anthony Edwards, who, a lot of us fell in love with, and some of us fell out of love with his performance in the playoffs, or especially against the Mavericks and some of his comments in the offseason. He's taken a lot more 3-pointers this year, and he's averaging a lot more points. And I don't know, and his efficiency is a lot better. So obviously, the key to winning and being successful is to shoot threes. So that's where, to me, if you're the NBA, you need to start really, really making some, really start making a lot of rule changes, and just overall finding a way to overhaul the entire product. Because it's really turned a lot of us off. I used to watch NBA games, and just about any time they were on prime time, unless there's another sport on, I wanted to watch more. Playoffs is always much watched TV. Into the early 2010s, and now just not so much anymore. And like I said, I always go back to the 2018 Western Conference Finals when the Houston Rockets missed 27 straight, and they just kept taking them. They kept taking 3-point shots and kept missing and missing, and missed 27 in a row, and watched a very winnable Game 7 at home just disappear and evaporate as Golden State just blew them out of the water. They were down at the start of that 27 in a row streak, and they were up pretty big by the time they finally hit one. So, just watching that game and yelling at the TV, come on, just take it to the hole. Take a mid-range shot, try to get to the basket. Obviously, it's Game 7, so you're not going to get the foul calls. Which is another thing. They've got to do something about flopping. Some of these just crazy, blatant flops. Good Lord, create a flop committee and just say, look, we're going to review every flop, and if it's deemed to be just beyond excessive, you're going to get a 1-game suspension without pay. And, they're going to start keeping track of that, flop suspensions. It's not something anybody wants to have attached to their name. Even if you're somebody like LeBron James, that's going to hurt your brand. I'm for that. And like I said in my other video, they have to revamp the contract to say you only get your guaranteed pay as long as you're actually on the court for the game. Guaranteeing these people $50 million a year, then they sit out half the games like Joel Embiid. That ain't going to work. And like I said, for the 3-pointers, at the end of the day, the consumer's spoken. We don't like it. We don't want to watch it. It's bad. We don't want to, but we just cannot get into it. And the more and more they take, the more and more turned off we are. So, like I said, either just get rid of that line completely, which I know sounds drastic, or I personally like my take on it. Make it where, it doesn't matter where you shoot the ball. They're all worth 2 points until the last 5 minutes of the game. So then maybe at the end of the game you have those exciting, last minute 3-pointers, but that's, for those first 43 minutes, no matter where you shoot the ball, if it goes in, and obviously free throws are 1 point, but it's 2 points. And if you get hacked and fouled, even if you're 40 feet from the basket, it's 2 free throws, not 3. The only way you can get a 3-point play in the first 43 minutes of the game is the old-fashioned way. Get fouled, make the shot, and obviously there's a lot that has to go into that as far as the officiating as well, but, because they got to do something. Like I said, I'm not going to call it dead or dying yet, but it's definitely, it's creeping up towards the edge of that cliff there, and, the toes are getting awful close to the edge there, so they can be brought back and still do well, but they're going to have to start doing something fast. Because you can talk about illegal streaming and how, all this stuff is hurting the ratings. The NFL's ratings are up. Were up last year. I think this year they're down a little bit, but the NFL's had a lot of issues too as far as bad on the field play. My Panthers just lost a crushing game to the Bucks, and I don't really care. It's like at this point, I'm like, who cares? I do want to make a video about that at some point, but I don't even know what to say at this point. But so yeah, that's kind of where we're at with that one. They do need sweeping changes, and like I said, they need to really, really start putting emphasis on the new generation, really marketing better, and like I said, just trying to undo a lot of, the reliance on threes, like I said, the player empowerment, I know it sounds great on paper, but at the end of the day, they were given the power and they abuse it to the point of driving fans away and driving business down. Somehow their salaries went up, even though attendance and especially ratings have been down, but somehow they got better salaries, which again is a slap in the face to everybody else in the world that we have to work every day and show up and do what we can to help our company turn a profit, even though on a personal level, even if we don't care about our company, doesn't matter. We have to try to help them turn a profit, otherwise they're going to fire us. And the more money our organization makes, the better our bonuses and raises are. Whereas with them, and like I said, I talk about this a lot with the WNBA. It doesn't matter. No matter how bad the attendance is, no matter how much everything falls, seems like their salaries keep going up. Just the fact WNBA players get paid for a team that for an organization that keeps losing money every year is a real slap in the face to us. And the fact that the NBA is doing what it does is a slap in the face to all of us. It's a slap in the face to Lily here. She's not happy about it, are you, Lily? Say, I'm not happy about this. Actually, Lily's not happy about me holding her, but that's okay. But it's so yeah, it's not dying yet. It's definitely not dead. It's not dying, but it has definitely contracted a lot of illnesses that need to be fixed. Otherwise, it will be in the dying category. So that's my take on that, and because I've been watching a lot of videos and been influenced by that, and wanted to kind of give my 2 cents to whoever it matters to. So thank you guys again for watching, and I'll talk to you later.